Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Yasaka from Zion Law School. Welcome to the free astrotheology course. Our textbook is The Gospel and the Zodiac, The Secret Truth About JC the Christ Figure. All right. The author is Bill Darrell-El. The link to the free PDF is in the description area of this video, along with a free link to the Devil's Pulpit and a free link to, I think it's called The Ruin of Nations, a book called The Ruin of Nations. Make sure you download each of those and print them. Well, I need a studio. Yeah, make sure you print those, okay? Those are critical. There is a book. There's a book inserted inside of that book, The Ruin of Nations. It's called, I believe it's called Natural Law. That book is a very important book for your education. So make sure you read that, but also read the Ruin of Nations, because that also goes into a lot of the natural laws. So you'll see, of course, when a nation what do I want to call it? I don't want to say a nation. When a corporation, let me rephrase that. Well, I'll just say a nation. But when a nation becomes aggressive, and they begin to attack and steal other nations' lands, so this is its rise, right? It's expanding its territory, its commerce, and everything else. So it rises, and it will either continue to rise, it'll reach a climactic point, and there's no place else but to go horizontal and or down. So the rise and fall of one nation or two or more nations. This is the natural law when we talk about in terms of the Hermetic laws. That's rhythm. The rise and fall of one nation or a group of nations, okay, at the same time and over stretches of times or epochs. So you can see how that law or principle plays out, the dynamics or the mechanics of it. But the key point is to recognize and understand, with the intent on using the knowledge that you gain, with how these nations or any organization will rise and fall. And the underlying principle that drives that or that governs it is, of course, a rhythm. Okay? Rhythm. Okay, rhythm. There are others, of course. Each of the other 7 are there, but I just want to highlight rhythm. Make sure you look at, make sure you study and understand the book in there, inserted Natural Law. I did a couple videos on that. I'm going to return to it. I don't want to give a date because I have some other things, other books I want to get to before I get to that. Or I might do it simultaneously. I haven't decided yet. So welcome to the free astrotheology class, y'all. We are on page 21. All right. So we are in the subheading, the zodiacal structure of Mark. All right, the zodiacal structure of Mark. So this is very, very important in terms of the validity of the author's points, his argument, his presentation throughout the rest of the book. All right? So let's get into it. Page 21. All right? So we see there's a table, there are 3 columns. The first column is the gospel section. Okay? That's very interesting because the first section, chapter 1 through chapter 3, verse 35. Right now I'm thinking, okay, so one of the things what's on my mind right now, I'm looking at the chapter numbers. So I see chapter 1, verse 1. So 1 and 1, so as we have learned, 2 is a feminine number, right? 2 is a feminine number. Where am I getting that from? Well, the author tells us, remember? He goes into 6, 2 is feminine, 3 is odd, therefore it's masculine. Let me go back into it. So in other words, these numerical values may have, these numbers may have meaning, not just with the number itself, but meaning, the meaning that's been withheld from public understanding. But there are groups of people who understand the meaning behind each number. Okay, just, for example, just like our pictographs. Each pictograph symbolizes something that our ancestors used culturally in their everyday life, right? And it has meaning associated to it, with it, okay? So, for example, number 1 has, it's not just number 1, but it has meaning associated to it, just like a pictograph, okay? Just like a Paleo Hebrew pictograph. Let me see if I can find this. All right, here it is. But because things are created, because the things created, I'm on page 20, require arrangement, and number is akin to arrangement. Do y'all see that? And of all numbers, 6 is, by the laws of nature, the most productive. All right, so 6, why is it the most productive? Because it's masculine and feminine. You need it, well, I'll read it out. I'll let the author explain it. For of all the numbers, from the unit upwards, I think he means from 6 upward. Okay, starting at 6. I wish he would have written it from the unit upwards. Okay, so from 6 upwards, it is the first perfect. So 6 is the first perfect number, being made equal to its parts. So 3 plus 3 is 6, 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. And being made complete by them, the number 3 being half of it, and the number 2 being a third of it, and the unit a sixth of it, and so to say, it is formed so as to be both male and female. Okay, so male and female, you need the masculine energy and the feminine energy to create, right? You need or egg and sperm, however you want to look at it. So that's how it is the most productive, okay? So let's continue. And it is made up of both, of the power of both natures. That's the power of the nature of, the nature is feminine and masculine. That's what he's talking about. 6 is made up of both masculine and feminine power or energy. All right. For in existing things, the odd number is the male. Okay, so 1 is odd. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, and the even number is female. Okay, so 2 is female. All right. Chapter 1, verse 1. Accordingly, of the odd numbers, the first is the number 3. Okay, the first is the number 3. And of even numbers, the first is 2. And the 2 numbers multiplied together make 6. It was fitting, therefore, that the world, being the most perfect of created things, should be made according to the perfect number, namely 6. This is Philo, page 4. Okay, so now y'all, what comes to your mind? What comes to my mind is in Revelation. Is it the mark of the beast, 666? So going by this information that Philo presents. Remember, Philo is presenting the information from that is reserved for the people who are inside of the house, not the doctrine. Now, if y'all research this number 666, you're going to find that it's actually not 666. It's been years since I looked at that stuff, but it represents something else. But they use 666. Okay? Well, now we understand why they're using 666. Perfect. Number 6 is perfect. Okay? It is the perfect number according to nature. This is Philo's point. Let me repeat that. 6 is a perfect number according to nature or natural law according to Philo. Y'all see that? That's the information that's reserved for the people who are inside of the house, who get that information. They get the disclosure so that what? So that they can understand. So that they can understand. That's right. So that they can understand the mysteries of the kingdom of God, and therefore have a chance to repent. That means harmonize with nature, or rhythmically use the Hermetic law, natural law of rhythm, and or rhythmically polarize at the end of the line. Remember, honor and dishonor, nature versus religion. Polarize themselves, their mind and their behavior, and honor. Okay, at this end of the pole. Right? Use willpower and self-discipline to activate what Napoleon Hill calls cosmic habit force, so that you will always stay in honor somewhere around here, right? Because remember, vibration, there's always movement. There's always movement. You can move anywhere along here, although the opposite extremes are rare. Okay? Movement going to the exact opposite is rare according to the Kabbalion. That's where I get this stuff, y'all, the Kabbalion. So you can get all of the Hermetic laws / principles from a book called the Kabbalion by the 3 Initiates, okay? That's where I got it. All right? But you want to use your own mind, make your own decision of what kind of man or woman you want to be. You will use your willpower, like I said, your willpower, self-discipline to develop habits so that you can take control of the law of rhythm and decide where you want to be. Some of y'all want to be dirty, rotten bastard. I mean, let's face it, some of y'all like it. Some of y'all want to be right here, right? Let's face it, it's true. You don't really have to do anything. But up here, unless you had very good parents who nurtured you and taught you who you are and all of the other things, for most people it's very difficult to get here. But once you get here, through the development of habits, or what, like I said, what Napoleon Hill calls cosmic habit force or rhythm, you can stay here quite easily, okay? Quite easily. And by the way, this straw would be what? The law of polarity. So I've just discussed 3 of the Hermetic laws. See, very, very simple, right? Using this simple prop. Okay? Honorable or Christ, dishonorable or Satan. Satan went against his father, right? Satan went against capital G-O-D, or whoever your deity is. Y'all see it? Christ stayed loyal. Christ was in honor. Okay, never even sought to go against him or opportunity to come up. Okay? If you're here, you're neither hot nor cold, remember? So this would be hot, June 21, summer. Sun is at its highest point, the zenith, the Christ. This is cold, December 21. Okay? December 21. Winter, darkness, freezing cold outside. Things are dying. Okay? Here you're lukewarm right in the middle. All right? Or what? Indifferent. Indifference is the worst place to be. Okay, so these are the solstices, right? Well, if you flip this way, now you get the equator. Okay, project the equator outward, you get the celestial equator. Vernal equinox, fall equinox, March 21, August 21. Okay, of course those days can move a few days, right? Up or down. This is what? Anybody remember? This is the covenant of labor, covenant of grace. No more work. You just live off the fat of the land. Everything's provided for you. You got everything. This is the climactic part of the year. Everything that happens during the year is so that you can get here. This is like the orgasm when you have sex. All right? Covenant of work. That's pretty clear, right? You got to invest time, money, resources, energy, get other people, tend to this, tend to that. All right? A lot of work here. Some people might work themselves to death or get worked to death. All right? Some people might get put into forced servitude over here. In grace, you're released from all of your quote-unquote sins. Public and private debts. Gone. Right? In the Jubilee year. All right? Everybody returns back to their estate. to their family estate. Okay? Everybody gets their stuff back. All right? Okay. There's that number 7, right? At play over here. But anyway, this is justice, right? 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night on both of these ends. So that's where the concept of justice comes from. If you imagine a wheel, if you imagine a circle, so this would be the equator, not the equator, the equinoxes rather, and then the solstices. So there's the cross, or new, northeast, southwest. All right, northeast, southwest. Okay. This is, if you can imagine that, that's the beginning of spring. Okay, so here at the beginning of the spring, very high energy, power, maximum power. It moves, right? Then this is fixed. And then over here is going to be mutable, right? Why? Because we're transitioning from spring energy. Spring energy is getting low. And then we're here, boom. Now we're in summer. Summer energy is boom, powerful, right? Spring energy is at its minimum. It even ended. And that process will repeat itself for each of the 4 seasons, okay? But anyway, let's go get back to the number. Okay, so 1 and 1 is 2. You know what, let me not go, let me just make y'all aware of it, because I don't know. I wish I could, if y'all know somebody who understands numbers, numerology, ask them to contact me. What I'm interested in is the significance of these chapters and verses as it relates to the sections. So for example, Aries, chapter 1, verse 1. Chapter 1, verse 1 through chapter 3, verse 35. Is there any meaning in those numbers? That's what I'm interested in. And then Taurus, chapter 4, verse 1 through 14. Is there any meaning? And does that meaning relate to the zodiac signs of that section? Or another section, or something like that, right? That's what I'm interested in. And by the way, last time I talked about the 2 disciples, I forgot to mention this. The 2 disciples that JC instructed to go into the city and follow the man who had follow the man with the jar of water. Remember that? Mark 14:13. So Gemini, duplicity, deceitful, thinking, the mind. Pisces, the 2 fish going in opposite directions, opposing, right? Chaos and turmoil. So these 2 signs, zodiac signs, have very much in common. So the water in Pisces represents emotion. Emotion. Okay? So those outcomes, the state of chaos created in Pisces is driven by emotion. In Gemini, it's driven by contemplation. Now, of course, it's going to be, nothing is ever purely one thing or the other, right? Nothing is ever purely one thing or the other, right? Remember the law of duplicity, the law of polarity, right? You'll find at one pole the exact opposite, okay? So duplicity or intentional deceit on one end, and what? Honesty at the other. or not honesty, but being, what's the word when you are forthright? Yes, duplicity and forthright. Okay, you're not trying to hide it. Two opposite ends of the same pole. But anyway, I wanted to put that out there so y'all would know it and you can use it in your analysis. All right. So the main incidents, let's go back to Aries. Main incidences that are astrological. Boy, these people get on my nerves. But y'all see the headings? I think they're trying to tell me they don't want me here. But not they, but it's just one lady when she's here, she's very rude. Okay, so the gospel section, Aries chapter 1, verse 1 through chapter 3, verse 35. I hope y'all can't hear the music. The music's very loud. Main incident. Baptism of JC. Okay? So JC gets baptized. He gets put into the water. Now, water would lead us to think about what? Aquarius. Right? Water is emotion. Water also throws in there Pisces, right? The two fish, the two disciples. See, Gemini can be any two things that are closely related. All right? For example, like two twins. It can be two brothers, like Polacks and y'all know I don't remember right now. Polacks, the star Polacks and the other one. Okay? All right, so the next astrological incident, main incident, the beginning of JC's ministry, right? The beginning of JC's ministry, that would be what? That would be the beginning. The sun is in Aries at the beginning of spring, and it goes through each of the 12 zodiac signs in 1 year. All right? In 1 year, in 12 months. It enters into a zodiac sign at 30 degrees and exits each zodiac sign at 33 degrees. Right? So that explains the argument that took place way back when the Gnostics were arguing with the church, the Catholic Church, and the argument was the length of JC's ministry. Was it 1 year or 3 years? The church said 3 years because they assigned a biography, a historical life to JC, which is actually the SUN sun in the sky. Themes of newness, that's also spring, right? Aries, newness, new regeneration, continuing on of the generations, rebirth, okay? So that beginning energy, right? Bang. I know how some people, when they're excited, they start off a project with a big bang. Power, a lot of power, a lot of energy. Okay? The theme of newness, we see that in the spring. 12 apostles as New Israel. So the 12 apostles would be the 12 constellations. Sense of urgency, daring, and defiance. Also Aries. So let's look at these keywords. Zodiacal keywords. Okay, so the baptism of JC is a sign of the spring equinox. The beginning of JC's ministry is an initiation, right? That's the beginning. Theme of newness, that's action. The zodiacal key word is action. The 12 apostles, you know, I don't think these are related, y'all. I don't think they're related. Let me just go through this column by itself. So the main incidents and the zodiacal keywords are not related, at least here. Sign of the spring equinox. Okay, so that's Aries. Initiation, action, impulsiveness, assertiveness, pioneering, and Aries is associated with the head. So let me go to the chapter on Aries, and we can check for these characteristics. We can also check for these characteristics. Hold on. So the author gave us his three main sources, right? So we can check this table. Check the information in each column of the table with the three main references. You should be able to find all of these there, and then read them, study up on them, and then you can come to your own conclusion. Do you agree with the author that this is in fact a zodiacal keyword? And if it is it Aries? Is it an Aries keyword? Is it a Taurus keyword? Is it a Gemini keyword? Y'all got it? All right. You can also, based upon that knowledge that you acquire, but you should know enough just by what we went through in this book to be able to know if this is if the author is correct or incorrect. You should know enough to come to your own conclusion and to make a judgment or an evaluation of the quality of his work. We've covered all of this. Y'all should know it. If not, you need to study more, right? Okay. And maybe that's something what I'll do. When I go through the first of those three books, we'll search for this. We'll search for confirmation. We'll analyze this table, okay, and reach some conclusions together. All right. This makes research and study fun. Okay. So let's go over here to Aries. Oh man. Page 53, Aries is page 53, for those of y'all who want to follow along. And let's check for some of these keywords. See if we can find some. I'm just going to scan the first or second subheading, so be patient. Oh, you know what? I just read something And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but if you remember from past videos, I mentioned that all of the religions have their origin in the Zodiac, the Mazzaroth, Zoad, okay, the snake with its tail in its mouth, the belt, whatever you want to call it, okay, the 12 constellations. All religions, they use the same template, which is the Zodiac, okay? All. And as I've mentioned in past videos, previous videos, it appears to me that all of these religions were written at the same time. That's right. Written at the same time. There's no 100 or thousands of years that pass by between these religions. That never happened, y'all. What they did, they looked at the science and the culture. For example, the science and the culture in Southeast Asia, the science and the culture in Europe, the science and the culture in America. Okay, I mean the whole continent, right? And they took that template that the Coptic Egyptians put together, and they just adjusted it according to the culture and tradition, the politics, you know, the great people, the influencers, and they just changed names. That's pretty much what they did. And they probably edited that over decades or centuries, you know, tightened it up or made adjustments for whatever the circumstances were at that time. Okay, so that's what I think. All of these religions, all right? And they put different dates on them. That's it. They put different dates. And by doing so, let me rephrase that. Their goal was to create a paradigm that is detached from nature, a religious paradigm. That was the goal. Religion. And they created these fake histories at the same time. They just dated them. Y'all understand? That's the only logical explanation of the symmetry between all of these religions. They're all telling the same story. Why? Because they use the same template, the Zodiac. All right? They use the Gospels, the original Gospels, that was created by the Coptic Egyptians. And here's what I wanted to say. I don't think I've said this before, maybe I have. But that story, let me rephrase that. In nature, on planet Earth, what do we see? What dominates everything? Day and night dominates everything. Why do I say it dominates everything? Because when it's light outside, you can't do anything about it. You can't change it. Right? Only thing you can do is adjust. And your adjustment to it being light outside means you're going to do all of the things that you can to live when it's light outside, be it hot or cold or in the middle. And you're going to try to get the most enjoyment and satisfaction out of your life, right? At nighttime, well, what are you going to do? You can't change it. So you should go to sleep, right? We're going to go to sleep. Our biological clocks are set to go to sleep at night when the sun goes down, when it gets dark outside. And see, that's another thing. People talk about evolution. Well, y'all ever think about this? I mean, evolution is ridiculous on its face if you think about it, if you apply logic. Once I mentioned that if evolution is true, why do babies cry at night? That's a giveaway to where you are, right? And the way we're built, you can have the most buff man. You can have an Amazonian woman. You're no match for an animal. No match for an animal at all. A chimpanzee, I think, is 10 times stronger than a man, than the most buff man. A chimpanzee. You're no match. Right? But yet you're supposed to be living out in the plain or on a forest? No, you would not survive simply because your babies cry at night. The baby wakes up crying and a hungry animal is there. Come on, right? Use common sense. That's not survival of the fittest. That'll get you killed. Or do what? Drive a mother or father to kill the child so that they can survive. And then secondly, given our, comparatively speaking, weak physical body compared to animals, think about this. We don't see good at night. We can't hear as good as animals hear. Hold on. So they got the ups on us with their senses. But yet and still we're supposed to what? Sleep at night. What kind of sense does that make? We sleep at night. At the time when it is most unsafe, we're asleep. At the time when you are most vulnerable, you're sleeping. It would appear to me that if evolution were true, given that we have very poor nighttime vision, very poor hearing, and are weak, a weakling, you know, the strength of a child compared to an animal. Seems like we should be what? Nocturnal, wide awake at night. Because when you're sleeping, you don't have a chance. Y'all see it? And then you sleep during the day. Why? Because many animals, they'll sleep during the day because it's hot. They don't want to do anything. They go hunting at night. Y'all see that? So on its face, it doesn't make sense. But what I wanted to bring out is this. The Zodiac, the Coptic Egyptian Zodiac, the theme of it is the constant battle between light and darkness. See, JC said, I'm the truth and the light. Anybody who wants to come to the Father must come through me. Well, who is the Father? The Father is the Son. That's the light. JC and the Father are one. A Trinity, right? So the Father is also the Son. You can Google search it. It'll tell you that the Tetragrammaton deity, Zeus, etc., they're sun deities, solar deities. So what? You must begin to act honorably, if you want to become Christ. Okay, so I am the truth and the light. Anybody who wants to come to the Father must come through me. You have to start acting honorably. Harmonize your life with nature. Follow the Most High's commandments, okay? The light is knowledge. Knowledge of nature and knowledge of self. And when you advance, you'll begin to understand, you'll know that you are nature. You are a manifestation of nature. Right? You're a manifestation of nature. You're the land manifested. Clear? So it's the constant battle between light and darkness, daylight and nighttime, daytime and nighttime. Okay, y'all? That's what the whole thing is about. That's the whole story, the warp and the woof, as it were. Okay? Sun comes up, sunrise, Horus on the horizon, right? The sun walks 12 hours across the sky. Okay? This is the original Trinity, the birth of the sun, the maturing of the sun, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Christ is in the temple, teaching, not literally teaching, but what? Spreading light, because the sun is at its highest point in the sky during the day. So light is being spread or provided. You know, there's at its highest point, right? And then there's the decline. So there's no place else but to go where? Either horizontal or down. So this is the aging or the maturing Christ, the maturing man. And then there's the mature, let's say elderly man now. Okay, so this is the Father. Baby Christ, mature Christ, the Father. That's the Trinity, the original Trinity. And now what happens? The sun sets. Set is Horus' evil brother. Y'all got it? Sun set. Now the sun is being overtaken. Uh-oh. So the sun is we lost a connection. The sun now at sunset, the sun is being overtaken by its evil brother, Set, sunset. Y'all got it? Now the Prince of Darkness is humiliating the sun. Clear? And then the darkness overcomes the light. And the devil reaches his maximum power on December 21st, which is the winter solstice. Right? And then the sun moves horizontally so that there's no movement on the sundial for 3 days. It appears that the sun is dead. And the sun dial casts a shadow again on December 25th, okay, or December 24th at 12 midnight. Now the sun has moved a full 1 degree. So what? Christ has been resurrected from the dead. But for 3 days he was in the dark place, the place of dense darkness, the bottomless pit. There's no bottom to space. So this is the story, and then that cycle, and then the sun begins to rise, it begins to ascend on December 25th, right? It begins to ascend and to spring up, and continues to spring up until we get to spring. All right? Spring is Aries, and we repeat that whole cycle. That's the whole story of all of these solar deities. That's it. The only thing that may vary are the details, but the major themes of the story always the same. Okay? And you can unlock the symmetry between the stories and the details using etymology and philology. Okay? So let's get back to it. Y'all let me know, is it too loud in here? If it's too loud, I don't know what the microphone is picking up. If it's too loud, I'll come back and do the video again. I mean, I'll stop it and find another location. Somebody let me know if it's too loud in here. Put a 1 in the comment section if it's too loud in here, y'all. So let me look for these qualities. Let me continue looking for the qualities. But keep in mind, that's a really, really important point everybody should know. This whole story is about the constant battle between light and darkness. That's a whole story. That governs our lives. Even though we have electricity right now, but it still governs our lives. Okay? Give me, y'all bear with me, okay? I'm looking for those keywords, okay? Okay, so on page 53, second paragraph, it reads here, in trying to capture this theme of quote-unquote new beginning, Mark employs the symbolism of Aries, the sign of the springtime, when the cycle of growth on Earth begins anew. The constellations began with Virgo, but the signs began with Aries. The constellations began with Virgo, but the signs began with Aries. Ptolemy, who wrote only 100 years or so after Mark, and whose work reflects the astrological traditions of antiquity, tells us that, quote, although there is no natural beginning of the zodiac, since it is a cycle, they assume that the sign which begins with the vernal equinox, that of Aries, is the starting point of them all. So it appears that they're saying Mark starts his gospel off with Aries because, as Ptolemy says, the ancients used springtime as the standard starting point. Okay? Although there's no starting point, they just select the springtime as the starting point of the year. Okay? Ah, okay. All right. Okay, so next paragraph down. Next paragraph. Remember, we're looking at page 21. Well, we're examining page 21. The main incidents in Mark's Gospel, chapter 1 through chapter 3, verse 35, establishing that those verses are telling the story of Aries. Remember, Aries is new beginning. Now listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. In trying to capture, let me see. Let me go back. Mark's Gospel opens with a mature JC ready to embark on his public ministry. Wait. Let me go back. All right. So the constellational zodiac has no natural beginning or ending. However, according to Cyril Fagan, page 30, it was customary in the ancient world to begin the cycle with Virgo. Y'all hear that? It was customary to begin the cycle with Virgo. Virgo the Virgin, what does she have in her hand? A wheat stalk. What's that? She has wheat or corn in her hand. That's the harvest. So the original cycle, our ancestors began the year with was Virgo, the harvest, the covenant of grace. Y'all see that? And Seiss considers this constellation, that is, Seiss considers Virgo to be the natural starting point. Y'all see that? Virgo is the natural starting point. The covenant of grace. Well, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy it. Why? Because you're the heir. You're the heir. You're in the blessings. Y'all see that? Christianity shifted it to springtime, the covenant of labor. Why? Because they want to put you to work, put you into forced servitude. And then flip the script, right? Meaning change the world, change the paradigm from nature to religion so that you think it's normal to have to go to work. You think it's normal to labor. But that's only normal in religion, in the religious paradigm. Understand? The corporate system, where you are dead, you are chattel, you need to work. You're an animal on the farm, you're chattel. Which is the complete opposite extreme of the same law, of the same line, polarity, which is natural, where you're in the covenant of grace. Y'all see that? Polarity, covenant of grace, covenant of work. Everything is set out for you, like we used to say when I was in high school, it's set out. Set it out. Y'all remember back then, set it out. Everything is provided for you. Everything that you want and need. There for you. All you need to do is what? Be honorable. Let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. Here is the covenant of grace. And here is the covenant of labor. Okay? Two extremes of the same line. This is where we're supposed to be. Covenant of grace as the Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, rightful heirs. Right, as the rightful heirs of all land, all commerce, all energy, terrestrial and cosmic, all resources, all contracts, and all commerce. We are the heirs. We are the beneficiaries. It's done to benefit us. You're the noble. I am a noble. We are the nobles. We come in all shades of color. It's not a color thing. That's a political construct. Okay? The Catholic Church took you out of that and put you at the other extreme. The labor, the covenant of labor. Everybody see it? And they created a religious paradigm complete with fake histories. And anthropomorphized solar deities to represent the sun. And they created fake thousands of years histories of these deities using the same template provided to us by the Coptic Egyptians. Y'all see it? So, as I've said in previous videos, our beginning of the year is the covenant of grace. When you are in honor, and you are rhythmically polarized in honor, you're in the covenant of grace. And that is based upon law, not religion, not a doctrine. In other words, you are controlling the imagery that you allow into your mind. And you're creating those images, not just controlling them, creating your own images. You're deciding, or you decide what you want and how you want to be. All right? So when you watch the imagery on TV and in media, etc., well, you may control what channels you listen to, but you're definitely not controlling the imagery itself. You need to create your own imagery. What principle are we talking about? Narrative transportation, right? When you allow yourself to be influenced by media, entertainment, no different than religious stories. They're all stories. You transport yourself into the narrative. Why? By activating or allowing them to activate your imagination. That's imagery. Okay, so it takes willpower. You must turn on your willpower at a high level, consistently. Self-discipline and self-control. Okay? Concentrated. Laser focused on getting what you want. And that, if you want to be rich, you'll be rich. If you want to be wealthy, you'll be wealthy. Okay? If you let life happen to you and you just go with the flow, what are you going to do? You're going to go with the flow of the religious paradigm of Aries, the Piscean energy, which will do what? Keep you in a state of what? It will keep you in the labor, contract of labor. It's going to keep you there with all of the miseries and toils that go along with that. Why? Because those who are empowered, if y'all remember this, the Hermetic law of gender, those who are empowered push through media, through the criminal justice system, through the family courts, through U.S. public policy in general, their genocidal agenda. They push their will, their masculine I am energy onto you, and theirs will override yours. Why? Because yours is weak. You don't know who you are. You keep praying and invoking the Raphael. So their masculine will, their masculine energy, the I am, their will, the goal of which is to keep you where? Keep you in dishonor in religion, not in honor and back to nature, following the Most High commandments. They're doing all of that to keep you in dishonor. So that why? So that their masculine energy will overpower yours and interact with your creative feminine energy and produce the children of curses in your life. In other words, you will produce thought patterns, beliefs, habits that lead to punishment by nature. Nature will punish you, and you'll think it's a deity, right? Why? Because that's your paradigm. You think it's a God punishing you, and you need to do all of these things to appease God. You need to pray more. For example, you need to go to church every Sunday, or whatever your doctrine is. All of which keeps you detached and out of harmony with nature. So the more you do, the worse off you get. 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. Y'all see it? That's what's happening here. Okay? So if you are a man, the knowledge that another man's will has been pushed on you without your knowledge, and that your current beliefs and values and behavior that you thought were your own are not your own, but you have been the subject of psychic attack. Psychic attack. As a man, that should not only alarm you, but give you sufficient motivation to find out who you are. Return to the Most High. Return to nature. Abandon religion in all of its kinds. And stand up and be a man. All right? Of course you're not aware of what I'm talking about. This is happening at the subconscious level. This is happening at the subconscious level. But its outcome happens in the conscious mind, and it gets manifested in the physical world. Y'all see? See how we can use the Hermetic Principles to understand how we're being attacked? But more importantly, once we understand how we're being attacked, what do we know? We know the mechanism of the attack, so all we have to do is exert our own energy on the mechanism. Well, what's missing in the mechanism? What's missing is yours, not mine, because I'm doing it. I'm talking to y'all now. What's missing is you developing a knowledge and understanding of who you are. You need to do that until you get to the point where you know who you are, not a belief, you know, so that you can begin to exert your own masculine energy and let nature take its course with your masculine energy, working with your feminine energy to create or manifest the world, the situation and conditions that you want. It's as simple as that. But will you step up like a man and do what's needed? Again, you determine the imagery. You create the imagery that goes into your mind. You make the decision to be in honor and stay in honor at all costs. You make the decision to return to the Most High. It's very easy. Harmonize yourself with nature. How do you do that? Well, one, you can continue watching these videos that I'm doing. Number two, do no harm. Don't harm anybody. Stop trying to get over. Take a loss. Why? To create trust and cooperation. To establish yourself as a reasonable person and an honorable person in the eyes of others. That's a good place to start. Do what you say you're going to do. And do it when you say you're going to do it. Okay? Behave in a way that creates trust, respect, and cooperation. And behave as a person of high nobility. Psalms 82:6. Okay? Be that person. Okay? And remember, it's going to come to you at great cost. Great cost in terms of your time, your energy, managing your moods. Now remember, you use the same principle to manage your moods. If you're an angry person, the opposite of that is happy, right? So you get to work on polarizing at the happy end of that line, right? Polarize rhythmically there. And do that for each of the negative personality traits that you have. You can ask other people what your negative personality traits are, and don't argue with them. Get the information and shut up. Don't defend. But don't ask people who might have a motive to lie to you, or who may have a motive to tell you something that's jaded by something you did or some argument y'all had. All right? And you start to convert those negative personality traits or transmute them through the process that we just talked about, right? to the Hermetic Principles or the Hermetic laws and transmute them, polarize at the opposite end. Meaning what? You're going to do everything that we just talked about here. Control the imagery, produce the behavior of a happy person. When you feel your mood is negative or the typical mood that you usually have, what? Change your behavior. Behave in the exact opposite way. Even if you feel like you're acting, read books about how to be happy. Do anything to condition your mind. Stop doing everything. I think I made the point, but let me go on. I got off topic again. Let me go on. We're trying to find these key words in Mark. So the Gospel of Matthew and Luke are prefixed by such mythic birth stories. Okay? Mark's Gospel is not prefixed by these mythical birth stories. Prefix means in the beginning, right? Mark's Gospel opens with a mature JC. Now that's the key point. Remember, Mark's Gospel is the oldest Gospel. Mark's Gospel, which is the oldest Gospel, the others, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, built off of Mark's Gospel, opens with the mature JC ready to embark on his public ministry. And no mention whatsoever is made of his physical birth or of his childhood. Y'all see that? In trying to capture this theme of a quote-unquote new beginning, Mark employs the symbolism of Aries. Y'all got that? New beginning as in what? A new year. Spring. Beginning of spring represents a new year. Why? Because the cycle of seasons are going to change. Or when we... Well, anyway, let's go. With Aries, the sign of springtime, when the cycle of growth on earth begins anew. Now remember, Mark, whether it's written by the Apostle Mark, someone else, or a team of writers, is still Christianity. It's still Christianity. It is edited. Okay? It is edited. It is an edited version of the original Coptic Egyptian Gospels. It was purely Gnostic. Purely. What's my point here? They changed when we began our year. They changed it from the covenant of grace, Virgo, to the covenant of labor, Aries. Why? Because they want to put you in bondage. Y'all see that? So here we see what looks on the surface to be a very small thing, but that has profound implications in law. So this entire zodiacal sign, Aries, is one of bondage. One of bondage. Where the hybrid, the Genesis chapter 1 hybrid, would have what? Would exercise, or would seek to exercise dominion, superiority, as in, or if you hear superiority, what is it called to mind? What a lot of people say, white superiority, right? Would seek to have dominion, superiority, ultimate rulership over all the land and all living things, including Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, autochthonous Moors, who are, according to natural law, the rightful heirs. who are what? They ascend into the earthly plane in the covenant of grace. So do y'all see now? Do y'all see now? Why the Catholic Church, the canon law, maritime law is oppressive? Do you see why they brought that on the land? Do you see now why they want you to be in all of these political statuses or civil statuses that keep you in bondage? Why they got you arguing over whether you're an Indian, a black, an African American, Latino, all of this foolishness, nonsense, these bywords, which are the curses. Somewhere around Deuteronomy 28, somewhere in the 40 verses, I think, the bywords. Do y'all see that? So you become their subjects. This is the cosmic energy. This is the cosmic energy, the baseline energy, that if you're not aware of it, this will become your state of mind, as it has been your state of mind. Right? Remember, the zodiacal energy, the energy of the age, is going to determine the mass psychology of the people. So unless you know who you are and you exert your will, you exert your masculine willpower, your I am, you're going to go with the tide, and the mass psychology will become your psychology. That's the whole purpose of this. That's how it works. So just this one little thing, when you look at it deeper, is profound in its implications. Let's see, where else are we? Okay, so the constellations began with Virgo, but the signs begin with Aries. I think I already read this. Ptolemy, who wrote, I already read that part, so I'm not going to skip it. I already read it, so I'm going to skip it. It is possible that Mark knew of the virginal conception stories, right? JC, or all of the solar deities are born from a virgin. They're born from Virgo, right? In other words, their rebirth, when the sun comes back up, it's reborn, it's in Virgo. Since these would be part of the esoteric traditions inherited by all the evangelists. So that's only saying that before the Christians changed it, the story began with the sun being born in Virgo. Right? JC was born of a virgin. Such stories are a complex or a commonplace of mythology. Why? Because they're all written from the same template at the same time. And when interpreted esoterically, relate to the birth of the spiritual life, which, as the Gospel of John informs us, is not a physical birth, but a rebirth. So a rebirth is Aries, whose origin is not the flesh, but in capital G-O-D, and that's the sun, right? That's the sun. Notice this. This is the point I wanted to get to. Let me let the machine turn off. Okay, so I went through that whole review to get to this point here. We might speculate that Mark chose not to open his gospel with such stories. The virgin birth is what he's talking about, in spite of their appropriateness to his theme. Because by placing them at the beginning of his narrative, Mark would introduce virgin themes out of sequence. Mark is concerned with the spiritual rebirth, and he uses the rebirth of the year and springtime as his primary symbol. Y'all got that? Okay, so Mark begins his story. JC is a full-grown man. That's the beginning of his ministry, right? He starts it at 30. And then the theme of newness, okay? Zodiacal keywords: sign of the spring equinox, initiation, action. I didn't see those yet, or if I did see them, it didn't come to my mind. Sign of the spring equinox, that's Aries, okay? So we covered that. The themes of rebirth, okay? That's the spring equinox, okay? Initiation, that's also there because JC is a mature man. Now he gets initiated, or he's going to start his ministry, the initiation or the start of a new year, springtime, okay? And then action, that's very, very broad, so that can mean anything, right? So let's just say action, we see that also. Let's continue. Give me 1 second. Let me scan this paragraph. This is really interesting stuff. This is really interesting stuff. Okay, so here I found activity, page 59. The struggle of new life to establish itself in the midst of death and decay. Remember, winter, things die and they decay and it's frozen, right? Then springtime comes, and what happens? There's a rebirth, right? Things start to grow again. So the struggle of new life to establish itself in the midst of death and decay characterizes the sign of Aries. Capital God's creative activity was associated with Aries in ancient times. And some early authorities considered that the earth was created when the sun, S-U-N, was here. So the earth was not created, it was always here, according to Genesis chapter 1 and 2, and according to logic. I already been through that, so I'm not going to go through it. So here in our zodiacal keywords, we see the keyword, one of the keywords, action, okay? Action, in Aries. What's the action? The creation or the resumption of the next generation, okay? Creative activity. As we just read on page 55. Well, this is also worth reading too, okay? Abu Masr, writing in the 9th century, so it's about 900 years after JC's alleged death, but no doubt reflecting a much older tradition, says that the creation took place when the 7 planets, notice this, the 7 planets, the sun is considered a planet, not a star, by our ancient ancestors. The moon is considered a planet. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn were in conjunction in Aries. Now, whether this is true or not, I have no idea. A belief reflected in Dante's Inferno. Remember the hell, the pictures of hell and the stories about burning in hell? Where we learned that, quote, the Escheat sun was mounting with those stars that were with him where, what time the love, capital divine, at first in motion, set those bestious things. I don't have a clue what I just read there. Okay, so what he's saying is that there was a beginning, and at the beginning, the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn were in conjunction with Aries. That's what he's saying, okay? Note this, y'all. To the Egyptians, the Kemetans, the constellation was known as Arnam, which means the Lord of the head. So Aries is the head. Okay? So the zodiacal key word, Arnam, when you know the Kemetan name for Aries, you know that Aries is the Lord of the head, the beginning, right, of our body, if you go from top to bottom. So the key word, the zodiacal key word, is associated with the head. Aries is in fact associated with the head. Okay, why is this important? Because it's coming from the Kemetans or the Egyptians. So there's a cultural component. It is the Coptic Egyptians who wrote the initial Gospels. Okay, so you should have common sense enough to know that any alleged statements by the Egyptians you should take seriously, right? I didn't say believe, I said take seriously. Clear? So Arnam, if you look at the etymological meaning of Arnam, you should find the Lord of the head. All right? So here we see etymology, the power of etymology. Hunter the Mortal writes, peace. Islam and Shalawama to you. Okay? So let's continue looking for these key words. Okay? And to the Babylonians, so remember the Babylonians also were masters of the astrological sciences. They learned it from the Egyptians. So, and to the Babylonians as Luhunga, the hired man. Champion, page 17. Okay, I didn't see the hired man in the list of zodiacal keywords on page 21, so I'm going to keep going. You see, somebody wrote a comment. Oh, okay. All right. So let's continue. Among the Hebrews, Aries was probably associated with the tribe of Reuben, called by Jacob, my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength. As we have seen in the forgotten language of the stars, we went through that already. Y'all can go back and watch those videos. Judaism began when the equinox passed over from Taurus, remember the golden bull in the Exodus story, to Aries. To Aries. Remember, Moses comes down out of the mountain and he has the ram's horns, symbolizing the new zodiacal age of Aries, and which the vast majority of Bible translators translated that as his face shone. They hid that. They hid the astrology, the astrological symbolism. The golden bull that Aaron and others created was Apis, the bull. Okay, Taurus, that was worshipped, and not worshipped, but that symbolized the age of Taurus. Okay, and power was shifting over to the house of Yasharallah because they were entering into a new zodiacal age, which was Aries. So the people, the ancient house of Yasharallah, our ancestors, wanted to stay in Taurus. They didn't want to transition out, and y'all know that every time there's an end of something and a beginning of another, there's always going to be people who resist it. Okay? In other words, there's always going to be some casualties, loss of life by people who are inflexible, right? And that's what happened. Many of them lost their lives according to the story. Okay? All right? Okay. Let me see if I can find any of these other vocabulary, these keywords rather. Okay? Well, this is not a vocabulary, but along the same line, I may as well mention that remember the ram was caught in the thicket by Abraham, and then Moses' burning bush, the lamb sacrifice, the wilderness reflect Aries. Okay? And then the word Abib means spring, so that's Aries. And the Exodus took place in the spring. Exodus 13, verse 4. Oh boy. Here we are. So one of the key words is initiation. Okay? Initiation. Page 56. Like all the signs which mark the equinoxes and solstices, Aries is a cardinal sign. A sign of initiatory action. Why? Well, here are the cardinal signs. They're the seasons, right? Aries, springtime. Then we have autumn, fall. Okay? And then we have summer and winter. Okay? Capricorn. So what's happening? The beginning of spring, the energy is powerful. It's at its height, maximum. The energy of winter is at its minimum. Y'all see that? And then as spring goes, the energy gets weaker and weaker and weaker until all of a sudden the spring energy is gone. And then there's a powerful beginning or the initiation of summer energy. Summer energy is at its maximum, and then it gets weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker until summer energy is gone, and we meet the initiation or the beginning of fall energy. And then that cycle repeats itself. So these are the cardinal signs, okay? So there's the initiation concept. The cardinal signs. So that initiation keyword will apply to each of the 4 cardinal signs. Oh boy, let's continue. So the horns of the ram represent leadership. Let me continue. I'm still on page 56. So the leadership would be assertiveness, right? That's the assertiveness. Page 56, second paragraph. The glyph of Aries depicts the horns of the ram, the aggressive, combative, leader of the flock. Now, I take some disagreement with that because if, in fact, Moses was a leader of the house of Yasharallah, Moses was said to be what? The meekest of all the people. He was very mild-tempered. He was not aggressive. See, a leader does not have to be aggressive and loud. In fact, aggressive and loud people, in my experience in life, if you press them, they tend to be the ones who cowered out or quit or run. Okay? Neither was Moses combative. But he is the one who came down with the ram's horns right out of the mountain. So it appears to me that Moses' personality is a more accurate reflection of Aries. Now remember, we are in the hybrids system. They value aggressiveness, just walking in, bum rushing somebody while they're asleep at night. They value combat, right? They're the ones who always want to fight, physically fight. 15 people to 1. Cowardly stuff like that. Okay, that's their world paradigm. So it appears to me right now that this needs to be corrected, right? Because that's not our nature, to be aggressive and, you know, I think most of us would think people like that are ignorant. this alpha male thing that's become so popular of recent times, y'all know where that concept comes from. That comes from chimpanzees, colonies of chimpanzees. It's animalistic behavior attributed to or idealized as being appropriate and most desirable amongst men and women. No. That's animal behavior. Is it clear? Go study up on this concept of alpha males or chimpanzee colonies. You'll see that. Okay, so a man does not have to be aggressive to be a top-notch man. A man doesn't have to be combative. Who is going to want to cooperate with you if you're aggressive and combative? Nobody. Unless you come from a hybrid stock where that's valued. Or you learn that behavior. Okay? Let's see, so the glyph of Aries is also suggestive of the springing water. Now water, remember, water in my mind is taking me to Pisces and emotion. Okay? The deceit that has its origin in emotion. Okay? Like a jealous envy or somebody who's just antisocial. They're not plotting and planning. They're just driven by their emotions. They can't stand to see you at peace or looking successful or looking like you're on your way to be successful. They can't stand to see you happy. It hurts them, hurts their feelings. Some of us have fathers and mothers who were like that, and siblings. And these people will sabotage you. They will do a smear campaign on you. They may be bipolar. They may be sociopath. They may have any of these personality disorders. High on the narcissist scale, any of that. Oh boy. So I like the way he writes this. The Aries glyph is suggestive of the springing water, the source of all life and growth, which transforms the wilderness and brings vitality and health. Millennius, a near contemporary of Marx, tells us that those with Aries prominent in their nature, those people who have Aries characteristics that are prominent, they got a lot of Aries in them, are cursed with ravenous tempers. See, this is what I was talking about. They got really hot temper, really bad temper, and go where fancy takes them. They just do things out of emotion, plowing new seas and making the world their own. So this is where the impulsiveness comes from in the zodiacal keywords. and pioneering. So we just identified all of the zodiacal keywords that are in fact included in Aries. Okay? So all of these references to Aries, if you know the meanings, if you do the etymology, etc., 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 you'll see all of these keywords in the Book of Mark. All right. Let's see. Do I need to do anything else? Oh boy. Okay, this is important. Listen to this, y'all. Now remember, as I read this, keep the history of Christianity in mind. Specifically when they were coming to power and as they began to seize power. Remember all the wars they waged? Remember the Inquisition, how they tortured and terrorized our ancestors? Listen to this. Page 57. Take a look at this, y'all. The ruler of Aries, the planet which is most obviously associated with Aries and which shares Aries characteristics, is Mars. Mars is a red planet. Unanimously identified by the ancients, that means our ancestors, unanimously identified by the ancients as the harbinger of war and destruction. War and destruction. Is that not what we see with religion? Roro writes, Amani writes, Shalom. Shalom in Islam, Roro. Good to see you back. Isn't that what we see with all of the religions? Christianity, the Islamic religion. Isn't that what we see? War and destruction, which shows the cross of matter dominating the circle of spirit, is suggestive of aggression and power and has been universally adopted as the symbol of masculinity. Y'all got that? So in their minds, war and destruction is masculine. Let me show you the glyph for masculine. There's something else I want to read. Let me show you this glyph. So y'all have seen this right here before, right? You see the circle with the arrow pointing upward? Okay, so this circle is the circle of spirit. The circle of spirit, I don't know what they mean by spirit. It's not defined. But since it's a circle, perhaps that's the Maserati or the Zodiac. And then there's an arrow. Okay, so we know in their mind, an arrow is for war, combat, not hunting, not things that are healthy for a society, but this arrow is symbolic of war. So this is the cross, which shows the cross of matter. So the cross of matter dominating the circle of spirit. Now, where do we see this concept of dominating? We see that in Genesis chapter 1, where the created creature, the output of the genetic engineering project by the Yakub character and the 12 feminine Moorish geneticists produced what we now call the hybrid. All right, and what was the purpose? To dominate the entire earth, including all living things and their wombs, including the Moorish men and women, Genesis chapter 2:7. Y'all see it? To dominate, to have them in subjection. So now let's look at some of the positive qualities, because remember, these behaviors, the law of polarity. So you have the very negative, toxic behaviors at one end of a line or a pole, and at the extreme opposite, you have their exact opposite, right? So page 57, the next paragraph. Ptolemy gives the following list of positive martial qualities: noble, commanding, spirited, military, versatile, powerful, virtuesome, keen, headstrong, active, easily angered, with qualities of leadership. This is on Ptolemy, page 353. Why is it important? Why is it important to know? You need to know the positive. You need to know the positive or the exact opposite, extreme opposite end of the pole, so that you can do what? So that you can learn how or be effective in, one, either changing yourself so that you can polarize and produce behavior consistently through your lifetime. For example, instead of being a follower, you'll be a leader. All right? But you need to know how to do that. And we discussed that earlier on in the videos, so I'm not going to cover everything. But in summation, you will use the law of rhythm, or the principle of rhythm, to stay here, but maybe you want to keep an entire people as being followers. So you'll use the law of rhythm to keep them in a mindset that produces the behavior, that produces the behavior that you want them to produce. Y'all got it? And you'll keep them there. It's a form of hypnosis. If you do it yourself, it's called what? Self-hypnosis. right? Meditation. If someone else does it for you, well, that's not good, is it? You've been hypnotized. Psychic attacks, right? Psychic attacks. You're not even aware of them. You're not conscious of them. But they effectively create who you are in terms of your values and beliefs, your fears, what you hope for, and then your toxic behavior. Clear? So that's why knowing these positive behaviors are so important. A lot of the game in overcoming your own negative, toxic moods, emotions, and behaviors is knowing what the opposite of it is. Because if you know what the opposite of it is, now you are in a powerful position to do what? Move by degree. Remember that they're the, let's say, hate, love and hate are the same thing. The only difference is the degree. Same as with hot and cold. Same as with leader and follower. Okay? The only difference in these two are degree, but they are the same thing, opposite ends of the same line, so to speak. So once you become conscious of what the opposite is, now you can start to change it. You're going to use the law of rhythm to change it. Remember, what are the factors? Imagery, what you hear, what you see, your mental images, what you see with your eyes, how you spend your time, the attention and the focus on the opposite mood or behavior and polarize there. But I discussed all of this earlier on in the video. So I have seen, I've confirmed to my own satisfaction. Y'all need to do it for yourself. But I just walked y'all through it. I've confirmed that Mark's Gospel, the section on Aries, chapter 1 through chapter 3, verse 35. I've confirmed that the main incidents that the author listed are present. And I've also confirmed to my own satisfaction that these keywords are valid, also present. Okay? Although maybe not written for you to read it, but if you know the etymology, it's right there. Okay, John Doe, I haven't seen much of your content, but this is very much important and profound knowledge. Thank you kindly. John Doe, Shalawama, may you have peace and everything that has been taken away from you that you know about and that you don't know about unjustly. My sincere hope and desire is for you to get it back and get it back now, and for you to have the life journey that you want for yourself. All of that, of course, what I'm saying in short is that I desire that your desire to live in harmony with nature, which is to be in honor at all times, that happens for you, and that you live a long, rich, healthy, and prosperous life. Okay, and that's sincere from the heart. So Islam and Shalawama, I, self, law, and master. I don't know where you're at in your level of knowledge, but Islam, when we say Islam, it's I, self, law, and master. Law is land jurisdiction, the law language that our ancient ancestors spoke, harmonic with nature on land. Air is the same thing. For the air, Okay, now you can look at that cosmically. And water. Now y'all know that what are the forces? There's fire, air, and water. I, self, law, and master. All right? So we must be in honor, right, scholars? We must be in honor in order to activate fully, or to fully see the results of the law of compensation working in our favor. So when you're in honor, that means you are living your life in harmony with nature, not influenced by religion, its devils and demons. Now, does that say that there are no demonic forces? Absolutely not. But they're not in your consciousness. You're not invoking them. You're aware of them, but you're not invoking them. Okay, you're not speaking their law language, which is maritime, admiralty, canon law, which is religious law, Catholic and Islam. Okay? So y'all make sure y'all do this on your own. Remember, etymology, linguistics, architecture, art. You should also know that mythology is hidden ancient history. Hidden ancient history. Okay? And it's written in such a way that I remember when I was in like my second year of college, I had to take, what was it called? Western history or something like that, but I hated, absolutely hated learning about Greek mythology and all of that BS, and it was written so convolutedly. But anything that's written, well, I guess I can't say that right now. But anyway, y'all, invest some time in learning that stuff, okay? Because it does have application. It is not theirs, it is ours. I'm tired. I've been going for 2 hours and 8 minutes. I didn't realize it was that long. But I'll be back, and my goal is always to come back in like 10, 12 hours. If not, I'll be back in 24 hours. And we'll continue with this table. All right? So make sure y'all who want to support the work that I do, especially near and dear to my heart is a project to write the book of the law in Ancient Ibaryath in modern English, where I will show all of the natural law principles that's been hidden. It's all there, but it's been hidden. The cosmic laws, the 7 Hermetic Principles or laws, constitutional law, you know, that's expressed, well, those natural laws that are expressed in the Constitution, it's all here. Read the description area of the video, the recent videos that I've done, and it'll give you an idea of some of the natural law concepts and principles that I'm going to add back in. I have many listed there. I'm going to show you in modern, easy to understand English, okay? You can buy any of my Ancient Ibaryath books, and it's going to show you what kind of information that's going to be there. Xin Chao, hello. A little baby about 3 years old is staring at me. Xin Chao, hello. She has her little bottle in her hand staring at me. Very cute, very innocent. But it'll give you the type of information. But it's a big project, y'all. And I'm not going to do it unless I have widespread or broad-based rather support, because it's going to be a multi-year project. Okay, so buy my books, y'all. You can support my work that way, but do it because you want to learn. Do it because you want to learn. I can do what I can do because of my knowledge of Ancient Ibaryath, these linguistic skills. See, once you get that, and you start to see things, and you start to see patterns, it becomes much easier. It just jumps off the page at you. Okay? You can use the principles that I present to you. Now, why is that important? Why is that important? Because in the West, they're using a Judeo-Christian legal system. So the principles underlining or undergirding or the foundation of their policies and their statutes are based in the Judeo-Christian legal system. They're based in what? In the Bible, in canon law, in rabbinical writings. The rabbinical writings are based where? In the book of the law. Y'all see it? So by going through this, you get all of that. See what I mean? All you need to know are the principles. You don't need to know the details of every story unless you want to go debate people and argue. So where's the benefit of this? Because if you have a conflict or a dispute and you need to defend yourself, protect your trust, well, now you know the principles of law so that you can go and do that effectively. Okay? Well, you're able to do that on your own. The only thing you need to do is what? Get a template. And then you can write it up on your own and be confident it's your own stuff. You just didn't fill in the spaces and no, it's your own stuff. Okay? So it empowers you to be the man or the woman who you're supposed to be without being dogged out by those people who are supposed to be in power. All right? In other words, you can get your stuff back and you can protect yourself. Islam to all the Moors and Shalawama. I'll see y'all within 24 hours.